Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. What a whirlwind of a week. Well, actually, it wasn't a whirlwind at all until yesterday. For the last 7 days, or actually it's 10 now. I think we left last Friday and I got back Saturday. So 8 days. I was out in Texas visiting friends. So Lane got to come out, which was really nice. I think I filled you in on that last week. We had a full week of awesome training. It was really nice, I think, just to kind of get in, have that as the focus, get about my normal day-to-day tasks just from a remote location. And I think I was working from home at Shelley, my friend's house. I guess there's just less driving time. I was able to kind of get a few things done in a more like relaxed environment. I guess when especially the weeks that we've got our kids and our in-laws in town, it's just very hectic, as y'all know. So it was kind of nice to get through the week in a nice steady fashion, and boy, did the dieting hit me this week. I haven't had really any crazy hunger or fatigue really since starting. I think last week I might have talked to you about one day where I had a late night or a couple of late nights, or I was just up for an extra few hours at the end of the evening, and like just in the evening I was like, ooh, I'm really hungry. This week, wow, like the calorie drop down to 1,600 calories or whatever it was, I'll check in a sec. I was exhausted. So the funny thing is, so Florida is very flat state. So I've kind of acclimated to doing flat walks and not a lot of hills or terrain. Where my friend lives, the estate that they live in, it's like rolling mountains. It's beautiful. There's a lot of hills. So she's like hardcore used to walking straight up and down all those hills. And I'm like, okay, I'm a fit individual. Like I know how to train hard. Wasn't an issue, but you know, it's just like something that you haven't done in a while. And I'm like walking up the hill and her pace isn't slowing at all. And I'm just like, girl, and like she's getting like feet ahead of me. And I'm like, shit, what's going on, Holly? Get your shit together. So yeah, I was like having to swing my arms just to get one leg in front of the other. I was so exhausted. Every minute of the day, like I was just dragging. Like I had to say to Shelley, like, oh, okay, I got this. It was like just one thing, next thing, just one step at a time. So fatigue definitely got me this week, but I think just over the last 2 days, like the hunger has kind of dissipated a little bit. I think it's like every time you make a big calorie drop, and I guess I'm also at that point now where I'm starting to get a little bit leaner. You just feel it a little bit more, and I'm sure some of you guys have probably experienced the same thing as well. It's like there's 1 week where you feel ravenous. So I'm hoping and praying that this week it's a little bit easier to kind of manage. So one thing that I did while I was away, and I really liked, Shelley's super organized. Her kids are out of the house now and she just does her stuff and gets it all done. I'm still just a drowning mess. So I can't quite do all the things that she does to be like ready for this show, but I do my best with the time that I have. So one thing that I loved that she has at home was all of her, she's a prep chef. So somebody that actually, I'm like, oh, that's nice. Someone that does all her chopping. So she just kind of has all her fruit and veggies and everything and meats prepared. So really she just has to kind of like prepare it. But she does zucchini noodles, zucchini squash, and butternut squash in like noodles. So I don't know whether you guys have seen those machines. I'm looking at Brian behind the camera right now and he's nodding because I know that he used to do chefy work. So it's like a tool that you can basically turn any vegetable into a noodle. And I was laughing because I'm pulling one of these noodles out of the container that she had. And it was so long, like I'm actually jumping around. I should have filmed it. I decided to skip with it in the kitchen because it was like a 2.5 meter long zucchini noodle. I'm like, damn girl, like I better chew my food. So they were awesome. It was really nice just to like, normally I chop my zucchini and she had it in a zoodler and it was just kind of nice. We could kind of make it into more like a pasta. So I ordered myself one of those. I have always been the person who's like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. But after actually being able to enjoy the benefits of it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna invest. So we're straight to Amazon, that's on the way. And also just like changing up some veggies that I haven't had in a while too. So again, when you're dieting, like things can kind of get a little bit boring and monotonous, and yeah, just to kind of make it more interesting, I've incorporated a couple new veggies. So some red cabbages, the butternut squash I haven't had in ages. And yeah, it just made for a really yummy week for food despite the low calories. So I'm gonna be incorporating a couple new things this week, which I'll try to bring bring to you on at least my Instagram. If you guys follow me along on my Instagram, check out my stories. I'll put stuff up throughout the course of the week just to show you how it turns out, how my zoodling skills go. So yeah, my weight dropped significantly, but one of the hardest things was determining what my true weight was doing, because I didn't take my home scale. So Lane and I only actually have one scale, and I used to have a travel scale and I don't know where it is. So I left ours at home. So what I did while I was away, I kind of took my weight measurement on Monday, and then that was kind of like my starting point. And I was just hoping that over the course of the week, it would start to go down on the new targets, and it did, which is great. So I was very interested just to see what would happen or what was happening when I got back on my own scale. And this morning, you're going to see I hopped on the scale and I am like way down. So I'll be interested to see what Carbon does to my targets this week. So we should probably go in and have a look at that. So just to recap, for those of you that might have missed last week's check-in, my current macro targets, according to Carbon, are 1642. So I'm still following about 153 grams of protein, 163 grams of carbohydrate, and 42 grams of fat. So that's been what I've been targeting this past 7 days. And my weight has definitely come down. So we'll go in and have a look at my weight since we're talking about that. You can see here throughout the week, starting Friday when I flew out to go to Texas, I was at 66.3. And then I weighed in on Shelley's scale on Monday at 65.6. So I still wasn't really sure what had happened. I thought that I'd looked noticeably leaner, but again, separate scales. 65.2, so things are trending down. 65 by Wednesday, 65.7 on Friday, so I went back up. But that is a direct reflection of just how much dietary fiber I was eating this week. So again, with all these different new fun, I guess I say fun, vegetables aren't that fun, but it was more enjoyable than what I've been having. So, you know, my fiber went from 25 grams to 35 grams on average last week. I'll be able to pull up a couple of the days here. So up to 65.7, and then this morning I weighed in 64.6. So almost 1.5 kilos down, start to finish. If we look at my last 7 days of data. That's probably going to put me ahead of where I need to be, but we'll have to see what Carbon says. So looking at my protein intake throughout the week, so Wednesday was the day that I said I was absolutely exhausted, and by the time I got to bed, which was quite late, that's my biggest check-in day with my clients, I was very hungry. So I actually went and grabbed one of those, just a ready-to-drink protein shake, which is really low in carb. I think it's like 3 grams of carb and 2 grams of fat, salted caramel flavor. Necked one of those before bed. I knew it was going to put me over my macros, and you can see there I had 236 grams of protein that day. I was just getting after it, but for the most part I was pretty consistent. 154, 162, 152, slightly higher day on Tuesday. Again, that was one of the first days starting dieting and I was just like hungry, so preferentially chose protein. And then Sunday was the day we had our son's birthday party. So that was like, I got home on Saturday night. My flight got delayed by 3 hours. Thanks, American Airlines. So I didn't get home until 1:30 in the morning, and I still had to wrap like a few gifts and get together party bags and things like that. I think Lane's parents had taken care of like putting the bike together and putting together the corn bags cornhole. So yeah, I got back in the morning and then the kids are up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. It's a birthday. So I'm just like, oh my God, now I've got to host a party of like 30 or 40 people. This is going to be great. So I didn't eat for the whole day. I think I weighed out 100 grams of lunch meats that I'd set out and like just inhaled that, and then I was just busy like talking to people, looking after kids, making sure everyone was, you know, having a good time. It was awesome. Had a really good day, but I definitely struggle with, I think I've talked about this before, like anxiety around like being around big groups of people and just making sure that everyone's enjoying themselves. As much as I know everyone else was having a good time, like my insides were screaming the entire day. So I'm like, you can do this, you've got it. So it was a really good day, but I definitely didn't eat at all. And that's, as a consequence, you can see I only hit 105 grams of protein yesterday, so very low. And I think our last lot of guests didn't leave until about 7:30, 8 p.m. And then we had to clean up. So I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm so tired. So I didn't bother having anything throughout the rest of the day. And you can see that even my carbs were pretty low, 105 grams, that was it. So I'm surprised I'm not more hungry right now, but we'll see how that goes towards the end of the day. So pretty consistent throughout the week again. Wednesday was that one day I said to you guys I was just hungry at the end of a long check-in day. 236 grams of carbs, but raked it all back in, down to 154, 162, 159, so pretty low. And then again, I said Sunday was 105. Oops, I was reading you my protein for the second time, my bad, oopsie. Okay, let's start that again, carbohydrates. So 181, 163, 211 was the high day, 132, 142, so pretty low throughout the rest of the week. And then I'm gonna guess it's much the same for my fats. What are we here? 33, 31, 36, 25, 36, 30, 29, and 30. So it's getting down pretty low. You can see I'll opt for slightly higher protein foods. I think it just feels more satiating to me, like the fats that I have in my diet. Like if I wanted to hit a higher fat target, I'd have to be putting in like a fat sauce, and I'm like, oh, like why? So I would prefer to have those carbs or protein. Let's jump in and do a check-in. So the time is near. Perfect. Okay, so my range was 1601 to 1683 and I hit 1604. So just scraped in 4 calories off the bottom range, and everything else is outside the ranges with the exception of, I guess, protein is high. So that gives me comfort. You can see there that I ate 163 grams of protein on average, but my range was 149 to 157. We've talked about this every week. It's a lot better than the previous weeks. I think I was up at like 170 or 180. That's good for me. Let's go yes. Can I provide my metrics? So I was weighing in at 64.6 this morning. And was I close to my menstrual cycle? Yes, I was. I have had my cycle. This is the 8th time in 2 months. Doesn't even burn calories. Like, what good is a period? I've just been miserable. So it probably helps, was one of the contributing factors to probably why I'm feeling like I've just been crying like every other day, laying in bed questioning my life last night, like, oh my God. So that probably hasn't helped. So it's so funny. I think women forget. It's like it comes around every month and you're just like, what is this thing? I feel like shit, and it goes away for a couple of weeks, then you get it back and it's like, oh my God, what is this? Anyway, sucks to be a girl. Okay, so check-in completed. Nice work. Since your body is responding well, yes, we are not going to make any changes. Keep up the great work. Thanks, Carbon. So I will be keeping my macros exactly where they are this week. I really hope that it's a little bit easier than it was last week. I think I know what to expect now. Like last week, got that out of the way. So I just know that I really need to prioritize fiber to keep me like hungry, satiated throughout the day. As far as this coming week, what have we got on? Kids are back with their mom, so it'll be a kid week free, but we've still got in-laws staying with us. So that adds stress to me. They're wonderful people. I should start by prefacing that. They are really lovely. I just have a really hard time with people in my space and that social anxiety. So I'm like, I'll just work through it. But we've got them here until Wednesday, and then I think for the rest of the week, this is the 4th of July weekend here in America. So it's traditionally a very well celebrated weekend. I'm not doing anything on Sunday. After this last week, I am going to stay in my house and do nothing. If anything, I might read a book and put some music on in my home. That's it. I had a really bad experience a couple of days ago with fireworks. I didn't realize that one of the, I thought you could hold it in your hand and you light this little wick and you just hold it out and it will shoot off. Turns out you're meant to put it in the ground and walk away. So I had this in my hand, didn't let it go, and boom, blows off your fingers apparently. So I'm not going to be doing that. I'm an Australian, we don't normally have fireworks, so I was a little unprepared for that. So I'm good. I'm just gonna hang out at home. So for everybody else, I hope you have an amazing 4th of July weekend. For all those of you that celebrate here in the US, I'm probably just gonna rest. So until then, I guess I will be checking with you next Monday.